Gray wolves have been present in America before even the first colonial settlers arrived. They have lived among nature, spanning the coasts of North America for hundreds of years. A social animal, wolves live in groups called packs, which typically include a breeding pair, their offspring, and other non-breeding adults. And of course, they can be recognized by their distinct howls, which they use to communicate. Wolves were especially prevalent in the Great Lakes region, which comprises the states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and northern Illinois. Here they have lived among the cold climate and preyed upon the many sources of food. The wolves of the Great Lake region lived peacefully until the 1800s, when westward expansion began in the United States. Thousands of settlers began the harsh journey across America, many in search of food, land, and prosperity. Unfortunately, the arrival of settlers to the Great Lakes region brought with it the destruction of large populations of deer, moose, bison, and elk, all of which are major sources of prey for wolves. As a result, wolves began to prey upon the settlers' livestock, creating a battle between man and wolf. By the mid-19th century, the U.S. government sanctioned a bounty program, offering anywhere from $20 to $50 per wolf. Wolves were trapped, shot, dug from their dens, and hunted with dogs. By 1960, practically all the wolves in the Great Lake region had died. The next 20 years saw the protection of wolves by the ESA, or Endangered Species Act. This government act placed restrictions on the killing and harming of wolves and required a recovery plan to be put in place. By the early 2000s, wolf populations seem to have rebounded, along with the populations of deer and moose. However, the current status of wolves is once again in question.
Wolf populations have steadily rebounded since they were added to the Endangered Species Act in 1973. In fact, their population increased enough that in 2011, they were removed from the endangered species ruling altogether. However, due to urban sprawl and pollution of their habitats, this area was kept under the critical habitat status. Now, as we sit here today, in 2015, wolves in the region have already seen the decline of their population, due mainly to hunting, habitat destruction, and decline of their prey. As a result, they have been put back on the endangered species list, and we hope to see their populations rebound once again.
So why is the protection of wolves in this region so important? Does the United States simply not want to see the decline of a species that has had such a long history in the country? Or are there other consequences to the environment that might accompany their extinction? In order to best understand the importance of wolves, one can observe the situation that developed in Yellowstone National Park in the 1990s.
Wolves in the area became almost completely extinct, like we saw in the Great Lakes region. As a result of their decline, their main source of prey in the park, the elk population, grew exponentially, and we saw a trophic cascade. The elk overgrazed the area and consumed practically all the vegetation in the region. The absence of vegetation changed the landscape of the area and made flooding a consistent issue. With the lack of vegetation to line the banks of the river, flooding destroyed the habitats of hundreds of species. This cascade of events can be seen as a potential risk if wolves go extinct in the Great Lakes region. Wolves are a keystone species in the area, not just because they have extensive history and are a majestic animal, as they play a key role in maintaining the beauty, sustainability, and life of the ecosystem in which they live.
The question becomes, what can we do to protect wolf populations in the Great Lakes and across the U.S.? In areas where wolves have more interaction with humans, like in the Great Lake region, protecting wolves really begins with awareness. People need to understand the importance of the species and the status they hold in the region. Adding wolves to the federally protected ESA is a start, but people can and must be made to live among the natural species of the environment. Instead of killing wolves that wander onto their property, there are many ways to deter wolves using harmless techniques like guard dogs, portable fencing, starter pistols, flashlights, and air horns. These kinds of methods have been highly successful in other regions in the U.S. and could be a valid solution to the issues we see in the Great Lake region today.